Is July the 4th, 2023. This African male, possibly connected to the United States Navy, Army, or other military branches, just pulled over, slowed down, and was trying to communicate with me as I'm walking to earn money. Reminding you, immigrants that don't have their green card and aren't naturalized in freedom, they are usually easier to use as terrorists than those who have been naturalized and don't have much to lose.
I know you work in a Burger King.
And don't talk to me. You don't know me.
Burger King.
Okay. So when you're dealing with terrorists, many, especially immigrants that haven't been naturalized, whether from different parts of Africa, or South Central America, Mexico. See, that could be a fake license plate. Because when you're dealing with the United States Navy, Army, and other military branches, they can definitely create a fake license plate so it can't be traced. And if they have a fake green card or some type of fake identification, because if you're involved in sex trafficking, okay, sex trafficking and money laundering, to have false identity isn't far-fetched. So if you unnaturalized in the military, you're unnaturalized United States Navy, Army, or other military branches, or definitely the police, like here's the police car, and you've been involved in sex trafficking for years, especially with the AI and humanoid robots and other laboratory experiments, and a naturalized Moor who has affirmed to uphold constitutional laws of freedom is not going along with the program, such as I run Arrington-Bey and Monterey-Bay. Move to your city and you cannot sex traffic and money launder like you want to. You start creating falsities to hide what's really going on. So we have affirmed to uphold the U.S.A. Constitution of 1787, the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, and all four of Abraham Lincoln's proclamations. So, I think this is definitely a connection with the frequency and the sounds in the room at formerly Extended Stay, now Admiral Suites. So it's like if we cannot force her to move after we can't sex traffic them like we want to because she's talking too much, then we're going to start doing different forms of acts of terrorism, because we got to get our money flowing again. We got to get the money flowing that wasn't being traced again. And so I'm not saying Annapolis is the only city. Annapolis is in Maryland. Maryland is one of the richest states on this landmass. And that's what I read. I don't know, from one resource. Maryland is one of the wealthiest states on this landmass. So if you are involved with the robots or AI, laboratory experiments that can maneuver money electronically for years, and not only that, you've been involved with sex trafficking for years. And I want to remind my Moorish American nation and family that Maryland was also known to be involved in laboratory experiments during what they would like to call slavery days. But you know, if you are outside of natural law and you are not under the laws of freedom, then we as Moors have learned that you have been categorized and labeled to be in bondage or in a form of chattel property, which is slavery, lawfully. That's the importance of being naturalized. And not only naturalized through paper, but also through thoughts, your thoughts and your behavior. Because a beast, an animal, they behave in the same way. It's easy to identify them in their thoughts because males and females behave what their thoughts dictate. It is easy to identify them. It's not hard. All you have to do is be patient and watch. So it's not just paperwork, but also it's mentally and spiritually being naturalized under laws of freedom. So during what they call slavery days, like some blacks or scholars said 400 years ago, Maryland was known to breed and be involved with laboratory experiments then. But they used what they called this is where the MF word came from. They would breed the women with their own sons, the fathers with their daughters. And we know that the pale skin was one of the first slaves on this landmass. So what they would do, according to some resources, and the blacks that were considered slaves and the pale skins that were considered slaves, to make more slaves or breed that what they call that line, to make a nice strong buck for fighting in rings. So that they really want a nice strong buck to fight in rings. They did the same with the pale skin. They would breed the women with their sons, make them have sex, and make the men have sex with their daughters. It's sort of like dogs when you're trying to breed a certain pedigree, or horses. Also in Annapolis, so this is why it's not too far-fetched when some Moors say, I'm experiencing a thought, I'm going to use it, said they did research, some Moors, and Alex Haley, who created the movie Roots, according to some, and then some Moors say that's not true. He wasn't part of the author. I might be using the wrong words. His descendants came to Annapolis and found traces of their family here, but they couldn't find, they had to look. They went to the circuit courts, and the circuit courts had the black male descendants, Alex Haley, under chattel property, where the cows, where they would keep the cows listed, and other forms of animals, not where the humans were listed. Okay, this is in Annapolis. So in the circuit courts you have documentations of humans, and then you have they had documentations of property, cows, mules, horses, dogs, so forth. Chicken. That's where they found Alex Haley descendants. So now, here I am in 2023 speaking about lab experiments. AI and robots and whatever else they threw together. So it is not far-fetched to know or to have a thought process that these lab experiments in different forms were happening for what they like to say 400 years ago. And so Maryland being one of the wealthiest, according to the resource I read, some states on this landmass, makes you wonder, how did it become so wealthy? Especially with the unnaturalized, possibly military behaving, so some would say unlawful and could be labeled as acts of terrorism. It's like, okay, so you have the military base here in Annapolis that are prevalent. They're everywhere. A woman and her child moves to Annapolis, and she has to call the police, and also the police behaving odd, because of the citizens that could be connected to them are behaving in an abusive and harassing manner. And then she has issues with her electronic devices. So the question would be, what made Maryland, if this is true, one of the wealthiest states on this landmass? Anyway, it's July the 4th, 2023.